one step forward, two steps back. That's the way the show seems to be going anyway. And now that I think about it, it kind of makes sense because it is a time traveling TV show, and all it ever seems to do is go backwards. So after a pretty good episode last week, we got a garbage one this week because once again, the main character was not in it, and that automatically makes it worse. But even then, there are still filler or bottle episodes in other TV shows that are still good. Breaking Bad is one example, but this was still a poorly written episode. So it turns out that this episode is happening simultaneously with the previous one, which is alright, I guess, because they do need to explain what was happening to the other members of Team Flash at the same time. So it starts out with the team in Star Labs as Iris is explaining what happened and how Barry just randomly disappeared, and Chester finds traces of cobalt residue, leading him to assume that this was a planned attack on Barry. And Mark shows up, which makes it feel like one of those moments where the favorite character that everyone likes is gone for a while and they come back to help. But this was not one of those moments because we don't like Mark, we don't care for him, and he's certainly not a main character. So later on, someone attacks the CCC building, and Allegra, which we later learn was Mark, being controlled by the cobalt blue crystal, and Iris presses the Amber Alert button, and Mark shows up with the teleportation balls from Star Labs, and Keone just randomly appears out of nowhere because the writers still don't seem to understand what her powers are, and are just using her as a plot device. So two people pass out, and Keone wakes them up by or brings them back to life by putting plant cells in their bodies to produce oxygen for them. I don't even know if that's possible because I just don't get it. I don't understand, but I would like to think that that is very unrealistic. At the same time, Eddie goes to CCPD, I think, in the future, and everyone thinks that they're seeing a ghost since he would have died 35 years ago if he is in the year 2049. Hold on. So yeah, here's what happens next. Mark and Keone talk, and he somehow convinces her that she did more harm than good to the people who were dying in the CCC media building. That is peak gaslighting right there. So I'm pretty sure she leaves Star Labs right after that. So fast forward a little bit after Cecile explains once more the emotions that she's getting off of Iris. Mark attacks Cecile and lures out Iris and prepares to attack as he says the Avatar's lightning rod. And Speed Force Nora appears out of nowhere to stop him. And guess what? She's weakened too because the negative forces are attacking her. But what happened to the other forces to counteract the attack? It also goes against literally how the cosmic balance works in the show because if one thing is in danger and out of order, it means the other side is more powerful, and that just can't be. That's why the negative forces and the positive force can always exist together because neither one can destroy the other. So it doesn't really make sense for the other forces to not be attacked by the positive ones while the speed force battles it out with the negative speed force. And not to talk of how it takes away from the emotional buildup from the previous episode by bringing back the actor of Nora Allen. Like, why couldn't they just have used anyone else or just not use her again as a character anymore? One alternative that I was thinking of for Keone to figure out that Mark was the traitor was by basically inquiring about the teleportation balls that he would have had to use to get to CCC Media. And Chester tells her that they're all out of those devices, something like that, so that like Keone can at least recognize that he had no means of appearing here, so it has to be out of the ordinary, kind of. Anyway, so as this is going on, Eddie is getting flashbacks of Iris as he searches for clues as to who Eddie Thawne is. And back to the present, Speed Force Nora gives a pep talk to Keone, telling her that she's so much more than who she really thinks that she is. So Keone goes to her apartment because that's where Mark is right now. How did she find him? Unexplained. Why does the Speed Force Nora have pure like yellow lightning instead of the multicolored one from season 8 or 7, I believe? Unexplained, but probably the budget. So this next part was the highlight for me because Mark pulls a Reed Richards and tells Keone that the blue crystal is why he's more powerful. And Cleon literally, wow. Now that I think about it, they may have taken inspiration from Multiverse of Madness. Anyway, so Cleon turns Mark into soil, so the crystal falls out of his right hand and reassembles him right after. Incredibly OP if you ask me. I wonder how the villain of the final episode will be defeated. Hmm. So anyway, Barry appears for Iris to give birth and then disappears right after. And Malcolm gets his memories back of Eddie. And yeah, that's basically it. So as I was saying, this was a pretty bad episode, or at least mid, depending on how you see it. And again, I don't think you can use the excuse that it's because Barry wasn't in it, and something like that. Because although that may be true, filler episodes and just episodes without the main characters in it can still be good. At least that's what I think. But yeah, that'll be it for the review. Peace.